Hello everyone, welcome back to the slightly modded, slightly roleplay Skyrim playthrough. I don't want to spend long on the intro, so I'm just gonna jump into it. I enter the Temple of Sorts and am greeted as being a Dragonborn. I say that I am answering his summons, to which he responds with a test to see if I really am Dragonborn, despite what he said mere seconds ago.
Let us taste of your voice.
I shout at him, calling him weird, and he introduces himself, calls me a Dragonborn again. The old people then teach me the second word before asking me to test it out 3 different times to test if I really am the Dragonborn. And I'm taken outside to learn a brand new shout, a shout that should come naturally to a Dragonborn. Of course I complete the test with little to no effort, and I'm given the final trial, which is to retrieve the horn of Jorgen Windcaller from a dungeon near north of Morthal, or Morthal. I waste no time accepting the task and leave the temple immediately. For all I know, the reason the other people could not speak may be because of Agner decided to eat all of their voices. I open my map and notice that Riverwood is right next to the mountain that I'm on. I do the only logical thing and I walk down the side of it. I finally get to Riverwood, which is where I am stopped by 2 mask-wearing cultists. They claim I am not the real Dragonborn and that I'm a fraud, so I guess we're going through this again. But their argument is invalid after they are made dead. I take most of their items from the corpses, making note that both cultists were elves, and I make my way to the Riverwood trader to sell most of my things. Doing this makes me able to afford buying a horse. So I head to the Whiterun stables and spend 1,000 gold on my very own horse, before saddling up and beginning my journey on the long road to Morthal. After realising I pronounced Morthal weird, I follow the road past the western watchtower and eventually get to the crossroads. I consult the map again and conclude that I will turn right and follow the road, as I assume it will lead me to Morthal. I also take note that the road will pass Redderon's retreat, and I have a bounty target, so I may as well do that. I leave my horse outside Redderon's retreat and I enter the cave. I make my way through it, eliminating several bandits, until eventually I am met with a bandit chief. I defeat them with a running strike, and proceed to take their steel armour, as it should offer better protection. I decide that I will continue on the road to Morthal, and I will collect a bounty reward next time I'm in Whiterun. I continue further up the road, until I reach a dead end, and see some hostile skeletons. I move back and dismount off my horse, before returning to the skeletons to a pile of bones, and looting the chest where I found an orcish war axe. I chose to use this and got rid of my steel sword, as the axe seems sharper. I rode back to the crossroads, and this time followed the road on the left. I eventually reached the road sign, and I noticed that they did not have the direction to Morthal on them, so I soon realised that I will have to follow the road to Solitude, as it is somewhat close to Morthal. During the night I arrived at Rorikstead, and decided to pay for a room in the tavern to spend the night.
Sure thing.
Then when it was day I got back on my horse and continued to ride on the road. As I know, the mod I used to change how Rorikstead looked is called The Great Cities, and its publisher is in the description. I approached the gates of Morthal, and I had to get off my horse to open them. I did not plan to stay in the city, and so I just rode through it and into the marshland north of it. I continued to travel through a little bit until I arrived at a dungeon and was attacked by bandits. The bandits were defeated fairly quickly. I then spend 5 minutes looking, and when I finally find it, I put it right in front of the dungeon doors. In the first area of the dungeon, I hid behind a rock while 2 necromancers spoke about something. I waited till they finished speaking and decided to sneak up on them.
The others must have found some.
It almost worked. I then looted the chest and found another odd piece of armour that I then proceeded to wear despite it not matching anything I had. In the depths of the dungeon, I saw a wall similar to in Bleak Falls Barrow, and I looked at it for a second before deciding that I should investigate. I finally entered the grand room, which should contain the horn. However, when I neared, I saw that my journey was for nothing, that in the place of the horn was but a note. I read the note that claimed to be from a friend, and I justifiably assumed that this friend must have the horn. I decided that I must return to Riverwood and retrieve the horn, so I left the dungeon, got on my horse, and left for the small town. And that's all I'm going to do in this episode. I'll upload the next Skyrim video as soon as possible, as people think that this update will break mods, so I'm going to try and get as much done on the game as possible just in case. Alright, goodbye.